Welcome to CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Mabra. This is your one-stop shop to learn the business side of your practice on a deeper level. On this show, we empower you to own your CEO status to scale your practice for growth, sustainability, and profit. Listen in as we talk about how to market your practice to gain more visibility, hire, build, and engage your ride or die dream team, create streamlined operations, and make financial decisions as a CEO. It's time to show up as a confident leader to create a practice and life you love. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome to another episode of CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. It is Brandy. Brandy Mabra. That is here. I hope that you're doing well today. So I am excited to talk about this. I normally don't step into, hey, this is how you can get everything that you want in life and in business, because I feel like those are kind of cliche things like you always hear to have the best life in business. And I don't know, it's just an entrepreneur thing. But I am excited to talk about it today because I have developed what I'll call my own signature methodology or framework that has helped me in seasons to get exactly what I wanted. And it's always been something like I don't know, like just how people are able to achieve like certain amounts of success and everything. And so as I was going through a few challenging seasons, one of the seasons I've talked about, like when we were last year, quarter three and a little bit of quarter four were probably they were very challenging. I grew a lot in quarter three and quarter four of 2023. And even right now, like I'm being stretched, in order to take my business to the next level. So just to give you some transparency, and I'm relying on these three steps. And I'll be honest, like it was a divine download. I believe in what I know to be true. And for me, I sit with God every day. I sit with God every day. I definitely make sure I'm in my Bible, I'm doing my devotionals, and I am making sure that I'm setting myself up for success mindset wise, but also to have the clarity that I need for what direction I need to head in. And that way I'm coming from a place of focus and not from a place of distraction. And these three steps have been game changers. These three steps also we've talked about at our past retreat. We had an amazing luxury CEO retreat that happened in Washington, D.C. with our clients and some guests, and it was amazing. I mean, it was truly, truly amazing. We had the whole restaurant to ourselves. We had our own personalized chef that cooked for us, our own personalized server. We had like a beautiful room that we sat in. So if you're wanting to see some behind the scenes, there's things on my Instagram that you can go and check it out. And so we're getting ready to actually do it again in New York in June. Beautiful space. We're in the financial district. I'm so excited. We have a money theme. So it's all about like wealth and making sure that our clients are set up for, to make more money, right? And to think about money differently and to see how you can leverage your practice in a bigger way. And I am just thrilled to be able to do this, and to be able to have these types of experiences for our clients and for them to learn about business in a deeper way and these types of ways. So New York is up next. And then we have LA that's coming around the corner. So that's like a 2.5 day retreat. So just all amazing things. But we have such great conversations that happen in these rooms. And so I wanted to bring you in on some behind the scenes of the conversation that we had in DC that was around these three steps. That was a divine download for me during one of my prayer sessions. And it's just been amazing. Like it's like a guide for me. It helps me to make sure that I'm setting myself up for success. And I believe that God is always willing to give you the desires of your heart. He wants us to think about things from a place of abundance, and he wants to make sure that we're set up for success. So during the retreat, it was interesting. Like we talked about the steps, and then we did like breakout sessions. And so there were certain questions that everybody had to answer. And it was really fun just to watch the things that were coming up. Like there were really great business strategies to help people make more money, to, definitely hire like that next level team member, which was going to help them make more money. That was going to allow for them to really move towards the lifestyle and the business that they are envisioning from these three steps. And it's not when we talk about it, you'll be like, "Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense." And so you can take it and appreciate it, and I hope that you will implement it, or it's gonna give you some type of guidance for how you can definitely get things that you want, because I don't believe that we have to sit there and just, I wish I could have this, or I wish I could have that. We serve an abundant God. If you ask for it, there's sometimes the fine print that goes with it, the challenges and the obstacles for when we get stretched and in order to go at to get what we're asking for. And a lot of times the way that we think it's going to happen never happens the way that it truly happens, but it's really powerful when it does. So I just love that. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first step when you are thinking about what am I going after? So one of the things I always say as a CEO, you need to have the discernment and the clarity for where the ship is heading. That means in your practice and also in your life. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? One of the things that I always find is when clients, like, we do deep dives for private practice CEO. So every client that I work with, we do a deep dive into their practice because I want to get to know them more as an owner. I want to get to know their practice more as an owner. It's interesting. Anytime we talk about intentions and goals and focuses, it's always business. Always. And then I always have to remind them, well, what do you want personally? Oh yeah. There is that part. What do you want professionally? Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. And it happens every single time. We spend every day in our business, and I do it too. I'm guilty of it too. We spend every day in our business, so it's very easy to have everything okay in the business. And sometimes what I've seen, and even what I've noticed in my own journey, sometimes more things are like things are more structured in my business than what they are in my life. And when there's true systems and processes for both, that's where things always get easier. If things are chaotic at home, it's usually because you need some type of system. It's the same thing. If things are chaotic in the business, you need some type of system in order to help you. So, the first step that you have to have is the discernment to know, what do you want? What do you need? That is a game changer because when you actually know, like, the direction that we're headed for the business and for my life, that's powerful. So when we're thinking about lifestyle, when we're thinking about schedule, when we're thinking about your day to day, when we're thinking about how much money you want to make, when we're thinking about the house you want to live in, the car you want to drive, what's your routine look like? What does your morning look like? What does your evening look like? What does the time in between look like? What do things look like in the practice? What does it look like? How you're serving your patients and clients? What does your role look like? I think that that's so powerful. And most times we operate in such a place of it's good to be present in the moment. You need to be. But also from a CEO perspective, you're also very mindful of the direction that you're headed and what's happening in the future. So you have to have that discernment, both professionally, personally, on that side, and in the practice, in the business side. If you are lacking either one, this is where misalignment happens. This is where burnout can happen. This is where you start to resent what you've created because you don't have this discernment that you need. So the first step is discernment. So it's all about clarity. Like to sit with yourself. This is why having thinking time or rest days or just time away or taking time off. I saw something from Brittany Lynn. She's an amazing PR agency and she's been on the podcast prior. She's worked with me. And so a lot of some of the features and a lot of the features that I've gotten have been because of Brittany. And she was talking about how things weren't going right in her business. And what she did was she took a day off. Like she was like, I'm done. She took time off. And when she came back to her desk, there was an email from Time Magazine for one of her clients, right? And so this is definitely not the idea of it is that when you take time away, usually what you're stressing about or what you're focusing on that maybe feels like with a lot of anxiety simmers down and things like that definitely have happened. I've experienced that where I've gone away, I've taken time off, I've gone for a walk, I've gone to take a nap, and then I come back and what I wanted is right there. Or I get an email back, or I get like a new business opportunity. So it's very much an alignment. And so, but I think like you have to have the discernment for what do I want? Like what is going to make me happy? And truly, where is my joy? Where is my joy? A lot of times we don't know where our joy is, and so we try to find our joy in other places that aren't necessarily healthy or in other people that can't help make us happy. And so we're responsible for our own joy, but that takes the discernment. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is the discipline. So this is all about focus. So it's really easy, so easy. People do it every day. They do it definitely at the beginning of the year with New Year's resolutions. My life is going to get all together, all the way put together. I have all my goals. I've written everything down. I have my intentions. I know what my focuses are going to be, whatever word you want to put with it. I don't care. And they get started and then they hit a bump and then they stop, or they get distracted, or they don't stay consistent. So the second step is all about discipline. After you know what you want, after you know what you need, after you have that vision, both personally, professionally, and then in the practice side, you have to remain disciplined. You have to remain focused. You have to be in pursuit of it, right? And so when you are sitting down and you're praying, or you are thinking about truly that vision that you have for yourself, you are disciplined. You have all the stuff. Like for me, I surround myself with positive words all the time. So that way I'm always seeing what I'm moving towards, what my goals are. So that way my brain is automatically moving towards that direction. So the actions that I'm taking are in alignment with that. And it's really fun to watch. It's been fun to watch just my journey because I didn't start off this way. It's been a matter of God has molded me into making sure that I am moving in the direction that He wants me to go. But this is very powerful, but I have to stay disciplined regardless of what you see. And this is happens all the time in entrepreneurship. Like when people start, they'll think like, "Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur and oh, I want to have my own business and oh, I want to do all the things." And then they get into it and they're like, "Man, this is hard. Like this is way harder than what I thought it was going to be. This is not what it looks like on social media. I have no freedom. I feel bogged down. I don't know why I did this. This is craziness." And then they throw in the towel. Compared to if you just get through the hardest moments and you recognize that there is going to be ups and downs, but it's all happening. That saying that it's all happening for you, it's so true. It is so true. And I remember when I first got into entrepreneurship and just starting my business, I was like, "What? Everything's happening for me? I don't get it." And now fast forward, years later, absolutely everything's happening for me, but also my faith has gotten stronger over the years. And so I can see, yes, God is working for me. Right? He is definitely making sure in the good times, in the hard times, in the times in between that he is setting me up for the blessings that are waiting for me. And you have to make sure that you come from that perspective, right? And so it can be very challenging and it can be very difficult to remain disciplined regardless of what you see. That discipline, that focus, that consistency is a game changer. And if you just stay the course and you just keep taking little steps, little steps, little steps, and it might be where you need a break. I suggest take a break. I talk about CEO breaks. Take a break, but do not stop. Do not stop. Do not feel this is not for me. I cannot move towards this. No, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can have that vision that you see, but you have to remain disciplined with it, right? So getting very clear on what you want, the focus and the discipline for step 2 is important. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. What system do I need? Because whenever we're remaining disciplined, we have to be set up for success. So what system do you need? It might be something needs to be on a cadence. So for example, last year I was in a place like I already told you, like I was going through a really hard time in quarter 3 and quarter 4, and my self-care was like put on the back burner. And I wanted to change that. So going into quarter 4, my goal was to make sure that I get my hair done every 2 weeks. And that felt really challenging to me, but I have a system. So I have a standing appointment. My stylist knows, regardless of what I say, if I cancel it or if I, try to say I can't do it, she is not going to let me out because this is something that I'm doing for me. Right. So, what system do you need? What type of accountability do you need? We set up systems in our businesses all the time to make sure that we're set up for success. You can set up systems in your business, but also set up systems in your life to make sure that you are caring for yourself, that you are, definitely putting yourself first. And that's going to help you step into that vision, regardless if it's professional, personal, or business. And I keep repeating this over and over again because I'm hoping by the end of this episode, you recognize that you are one person and you could have an amazing business. But if you are empty inside, if you are not nourished inside, if you are in misalignment, if you are not feeding what you need, it won't feel as good as what you think it's going to feel. Right. And so I see this all the time where, multi millions coming into a practice. Money is not a question. Money is not hard for me, but my life feels empty, and so it goes back to the discipline that you need to have for both, right? And so it comes down to a system. What system do you need to put into place in order to make sure that you're set up for success? Which moves to step number 3. Step number 3 is determination. You have to stay determined. You have to be in a go-getter. I'm going to go get it because it's mine. I know it's mine, that is for me, and you have to stay determined. You have to stay tenacious. And that can be very hard, especially in the challenging seasons where things feel very rough, or if it just feels like I don't have the strength for this. And so that's where you get deeper, right? And so for me, that's where my faith has come into play, where I'm digging deeper. I'm going deeper to make sure that I am set up for success. The business is set up for success. And so I'm determined. If God's given me this vision for a reason. It is mine, it is mine, it is mine. He told me it is mine, but I have to stay determined. And so one of the things that we have, the gift that we've been given is the gift of choice. We always have the gift of choice. We can always choose how we respond to things. We can always choose whether or not we continue to pursue things. We can always choose to throw in the towel. We always have a choice. And when you are determined, that choice is always to continue, right? That choice is always to keep going. And so the thing that can come up for you is, once you have the system, what's the obstacle to the system? So even going back to me with my hair, I knew my obstacle was going to be, I love working in my business. That's a great thing. I love the work I get to do. I have big goals and dreams when it comes to my business. And so if there are days where I knew I got to try to make a choice, I knew my business was going to win, and that was my obstacle. So, my strategy for the obstacle, in order for me to maintain my determination of getting my hair done every 2 weeks, is having my stylist be the accountability and not letting me do it, not letting me cancel regardless. So, like, you implement the system and then you think about what's the obstacle to this system. And that's very powerful. It can be powerful for you personally, and then it's also going to be power for you in the business, because that's the number one question I always ask, especially at the end of our retreats. There's a lot of great ideas that are coming up. There's a lot of masterminding that's happening. There's a lot of growth that happens. There's a transformation that happens from when people first come to the retreat to when they leave the retreat. And at the end of every retreat, I always ask, what's the obstacle to this strategy? What's the obstacle to the plans that you've written down? What's the obstacle to what you think is going to work in your practice based on what you've learned and what you've heard, and maybe some ideas that you've gotten from conversations that you've had? Because that's true. That's the true strategy, right? So it's not so much about, oh, okay, I want to get my hair done every 2 weeks. It's what is going to prevent me from getting my hair done every 2 weeks, and what is my plan for that? So fast forward, I've tried actually, like, oh no, I have this to do. And my stylist is like, no, you said that you're going to do this. So we have to find a different way. And it's nice. I love it. I feel better confidence wise. It's something that I'm doing for myself. And so that's just a personal example. I mean, there's been monetary gains that I've gotten from this. It's just a matter of having this 3 steps to know the discernment. So, what is the clarity that you need? What do you want and what do you need? The discipline of staying focused and consistent and creating a system for what you need or what you want. And then the determination for knowing, like, regardless of what I see, I'm going to stay disciplined. I'm going to be determined, and I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to keep going. And for you to recognize what's the obstacle to the system that I've created, or what's the obstacle to this strategy for what I'm implementing in order to be disciplined. And so when you actually apply this Personally, there's a lot of things that can come up for you. When you apply it in business, this is where you'll start to recognize like new hires that you can make, new revenue goals that you'll have, new ways to make more money, things that you can get off your plate. I mean, it's a very, very powerful when you actually implement it. And it's those three steps. And it was very powerful to watch again at the retreat for our clients to actually implement it and to talk through it and to exercise it and to have conversations and to do breakout sessions. And then for us to sit at the table and for them to have like, I'm going to go ahead and post that position on Indeed today. Or I'm going to go ahead and implement this. And it's now, fast forward, they're now making more money from that. So it's just, when you actually go through these three steps and just sit down and give yourself the time so you can set up a date for yourself and make sure that you are in a space that allows for you to think bigger, to think deeper. You won't get interrupted if you need your favorite beverage, anything in order to make sure that you're set up for success. So, I'm jumping on the train for three steps that you can do in order to get anything that you want in your life and your private practice. And as cliche as it sounds, as cliche as it sounds, it's funny. I had a consultation and they're like, Brandy, I know you don't like to say $1 million practice or seven figures or eight figures because it sounds like clickbait. And I don't like clickbait. But I see it every day because I work with $1 million practice owners, multi-million dollar practice owners. Experienced these three steps in seeing what's happening with our clients, and then also knowing what's happened in my own life. Yeah, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. So I hope that you definitely take advantage. I hope, again, set up the time, put yourself in a beautiful space and get the clarity that you need, create the discipline that you need, and then definitely be determined. So that way you can go after the lifestyle and the private practice that you desire and you envision. So that is for today's episode. I do want to remind you that right now we are enrolling for Private Practice CEO for our spring cohort. So if you are wanting to be an amazing community with private practice owners who I call the elite of private practice owners, Private Practice CEO is definitely for you. So this is for more experienced private practice owners who are generating over $250,000 per year inside of their practice. And so we are working with, at this point in time, inside of Private Practice CEO, seven-figure practice owners. We also have some multi-million dollar practice owners. And so it's really fun just to see the growth of the clients that we work with and just to help them navigate some of the real challenges of business, right? And so we are working in a different type of economy. We are working with the realness of what can happen in the job market. And it's really nice to see that they have the support and again, the masterminding and the validation and to see the wins and the things that they are overcoming that would most times take a practice out. They're staying the course and they keep going. So it's definitely beautiful to see. So if you are interested in that, then definitely see the show notes for the link to apply today. I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and it empowers you as the CEO of your practice. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe, share the message, and leave a review. If you want more information and support in growing and scaling your practice, click the link in the show notes to take advantage of our free resources or apply to work with me directly. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.